This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. On a previous live stream, I went into detail about the three levels of the soul, from the animal soul to the human mind aspect of the soul, all the way up to the God level of the soul. And what we're going to do tonight is explore those concepts just a little bit more. So just like the previous lecture, we've got a few books that we're going to derive it from, namely Prana Darshan, and also a hidden gem known as the Metaphysics of Astrology. We're going to tap into these books and we're going to talk more about the soul and freedom. What's that mean, right? What's that all about? See, a lot of people think that they have free will. Most everyone believes that they have free will. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Simply because if I ask you what free will is, you'll say the ability to do what I want, whatever I want. So the question is, where do your wants come from? Where does that desire to want to do a certain thing come from? Now, more than likely, this is something that was pre-installed into either your body soul or your mind soul. And until you learn that, until you understand that the human body is an animal with its own mind, with its own desires, with its own likes and dislikes, until you understand that the human body is an animal itself, you cannot transcend it. There's a line from a movie that says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he does not exist. And oftentimes when the devil is mentioned, occultists know that the devil is not some red guy with horns and a pitchfork waiting in hell to torture you. The devil is actually the body, the animal nature of the individual. That is what the devil is. So the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he does not exist. And what most people don't know is that the human body has a mind of its own. And this is not something that I'm trying to convince you of. This is ancient teachings. This is teaching in spiritual traditions from day one. The Vedic information talks about it. The Hebrew information talks about it. The Christian information talks about it. The Kabbalah information talks about it. As a matter of fact, on two live streams ago, when I talked about the animal soul, it's called the Nefesh. The Nefesh is mentioned in the Bible over 100 times, if not hundreds of times. It's in the Bible, right? This is not something that I'm making up, trying to piece together because I want some views. This is part of the teaching. Now, your pastor's not going to tell you this. Right? And the average TikToker is not going to tell you this, because typically they don't know anything. They're just repeating some shit they heard from somewhere else. I saw recently some guy making this deep video about how AT&T is like now monitoring everybody's text messages, and if you say something offensive or racist, they're going to penalize you and charge you money. But like, I saw another video that like debunked it, because looking into it, this guy just saw someone else make a video about that and then he made his own. Did no research at all, just sensationalism. That's what you're gonna get in today's world. In today's world, it's all about sensationalism. It's all about that which makes you excited. It's all about that what appeals to the five senses. In other words, everything in this world is designed to get your attention by appealing to the animal soul. Listen to me. You are a consciousness, right? You're a consciousness that has taken up residence in a human body. Male, female, or whatever you want to call yourself. That's up to you. You've taken residence in a human body. Now, by that simple fact of taking residence in a human body, you are now subject to the desires, to the lusts, to the addictions of that human body. Get me? So to sit up here and to say that you have free will without taking into consideration the fact that the human body is the one that is urging you to make your decisions, you're only lying to yourself. You're only lying to yourself. Marketing is an entire science. Marketing is not just something people do. Marketing is a science designed to stimulate the animal within you. Right? It's a science designed to stimulate the animal within you. And if you don't know that, if you don't understand that you are residing in an animal body and that you have a human mind as well as a God soul, that's three things, that's the true Trinity. If you don't understand that, you don't have free will. You're not free. You're not free. Because the body is telling you what to do. The body is saying, I want meat, I want sex, I want to just sit down and relax, I want to sleep. The body is telling you that it wants these things. And because you identify with the body and you think that that's you, guess what happens? Guess what happens? You do it and you think that it's you and you think that it's okay and you never get anywhere. You never get anywhere, right? I didn't do it to you. Don't get mad at me. I didn't do it to you. We're all going through this. This is why meditation is so important, because what meditation does is that meditation allows you an opportunity to tell that body to shut up, to sit still, to chill, relax, and let the mind explore itself. That's the beginning. And after you get comfortable with allowing the mind to explore itself, you can start to develop a concept of what God is, right? You don't know God unless you have a concept of what God is. And to have a concept of what God is, you have to take the time to develop that, The concept must be developed. It can't be given to you by anyone. In other words, somebody can tell you that God is real, but if you don't have a concept, it's just not going to make any sense. It's not. Hoy vey. So look, here's a couple of images. Number one, this should look familiar to you, does it not? What are you seeing here? What are you seeing here in this image? Take a look at that. Take a look at that. I wonder what that's all about. I wonder what that means. I wonder what that means. Now here's what I want you to do as well. Now that you've seen that, let's take a look at this image. Let's take a look at this beautiful image. What are we looking at here? What is that? What's this? Tell me. What are you seeing here on this page? I'm not seeing any responses yet. So this must be brand new, right? This must be brand new, I guess. What you're looking at is the top was. Now, everyone's heard of the 4 elements or the 5 elements, but what that's derived from is a concept known as the Tattvas. Sirius Suit 888, thank you. You said the same thing, different map. Exactly. Same thing, different map. Earth, water, fire, air, Akash. And notice that it has placements on the body the same as the chakras have placements on the body. Just Ridiculing Curriculum says, I don't know, to be honest, I've never seen this. Get the book Tattva Shuddhi, right? Son of Ogun says, I don't have a clue. Tattva Shuddhi, look at this book. Buy this book, study this book, do the ritual. I've only been talking about this for like 2 or 3 years. We've only been talking about this for like 2 or 3 years. Get this book, right? Because if you're working with the chakra system, right, unless you've done some deep study, you're just winging it. You're just winging it. See, the chakra system is not a thing by itself. It's an idea. It's a concept. And to be able to actually work with these energies that are involved, you've got to understand that it is a multi-dimensional thing. Matter of fact, let's go back to Dharana Darshan, and I'm going to explain to you why. I got to flip through this big-ass book to find the proper diagrams. Also, if you don't have this book, you might want to grab that as well. I mean, if you're serious, then you definitely want to grab this as well. Dharana Darshan. And as you can see here, those same 5 basic shapes. Earth, water, Akash, fire, air. Right? These are the 5 elements that everything in existence is created out of. The only reason we have a periodic table is because somebody saw the Tattvas and decided to make a more realistic version. Even though that more realistic version doesn't answer any of the questions. Here you're going to see another diagram, right, of 5 sections of the body, and it looks a whole lot like the previous one I showed with the Tattvas. Because what we're seeing here are the 5 distinct flavors of prana that govern the human animal. The 5 distinct versions of prana that govern the human animal. See, prana is not just one thing. Prana comes in 5 different forms. And it is what regulates the human body. But that's not the diagram I was looking for. This is the one I'm looking for. All right, so hopefully you understand what the Tattvas look like. If not, we'll just make it real basic for you. Boom. You see the square? The square is the earth element, right? And notice how it's on the bottom. You see the crescent moon? The crescent moon is the water element. Notice how it's in the sexual region. You see the triangle? That's the fire element. Notice how it's in the heart, in the center of the body. Next you see the hexagon, which is also a circle. That's the air element, right? And then finally you see the top, which is a Kash. It's usually in an egg shape. So look, square, moon, triangle, circle, egg shape, right? Check this out. This is by the same company, the same school. Here we have, fuck where it came from. You've all seen the symbols of the chakras, right? The symbols of the chakras have those same tattvic shapes. I'm gonna tie it into why this all makes sense. Look. So right here you have Muladhara. What do you see inside the root chakra? Muladhara, a square. A square, right? Next to it, Swadhisthana, the sexual chakra. What do you have? A crescent moon, right? That's what I just showed before. What do you have in Manipura, the center? You have that triangle. It's the Notice how the triangle has these 3 shapes on the outside. I forgot what those are called. But notice how the triangle has those 3 shapes on the outside. You see that? So notice as well, right here, the same 3 shapes on the outside of that triangle. This is not an accident. See, the symbols speak more than the words do. The symbols speak more than the words do. So from square, 2 crescent moon, and I bet you, if you pay attention to the Sanskrit lettering, you're going to find them as well within the chakra points, right? So look at what we have here. The square, the moon, the triangle, right? Remember the hexagon that I said could also be a circle? That's what we have here. Followed by the egg shape, right? And then for the third eye, we've got the Om symbol, and that's the mind, and we'll get into that. Remember when I mentioned that there's the human body, which is this, the animal body, soul, which is all this over here. Then we've got the human mind aspect of the soul, which is right here, the third eye aspect. And then finally, the Bindu and the Sahasrara. Most people don't talk about the Bindu chakra, but it is the 8th chakra on the back of your head. I see that the trolls have finally entered the chat. My Diamond Shakti warriors, where you at? Speaking of which, peace to everybody here that is joining this live stream. Look, we have 33% of the people who have liked this video versus who's present. So if you're watching this video, if you're finding information that you enjoy or is helping you, go ahead and hit the like button. Peace to Nuru. Peace to Dr. Zero. Peace to Richard Tracy. Peace. Sirius Sue 888. Oath, peace and greetings. Sunshine Chick, peace. Phoenix Wolfette, peace. Veronica Archaga, peace, peace. Jason, peace. Oh yeah, good stuff. ARV International Inc., peace. There we go. Boom. Gerald Sombright, peace and welcome. Peace and welcome. We're going to get into some more stuff here in the text. And see, that's the etymology of the word lecture. Lecture is just not somebody yapping. Lecture is an experience where the teacher is teaching from the text, right? So it's exposition as well as text. That's why you find lecture in high school and college, because it's literally coming out of the text. Richard Tracy, you have just been added as a moderator. Micah, peace. Red's World, peace, peace. GG Supreme, peace. All right. Sirius Sue 888 says the Bindu seed in the back of the head. I want to hear about that, my guy. Absolutely. Mr. West, peace. All right, here we go. Back to it. So, you got these 8 chakras, and each of them represent an aspect of either the body, animal, soul, the human mind, soul, or access to the God soul. It's going to represent one of those 3 things. The chakras are not simply here so that you can meditate on for no reason. You meditate and you balance and you harmonize your chakras so that you can put the animal in its place, so that you can put the mind in its place, and so that you can open up access for the God aspect of yourself, right? Like I said before, when it comes to free will, you don't have free will. You don't have free will unless you've come to understand the impact and the influence that the animal soul has over your existence. The animal soul is telling you, I like this, I don't like this, I want more of that, I want less of that. The animal soul is purely instinctual. purely reactionary and purely based on the five senses only. Only. So if your decisions throughout life are based on the five senses only, technically you are still an animal. You haven't developed enough humanity in order for that humanity to be in control. I love that. I love that because it makes sense. It makes sense. You know people who are still animal. You know people who are still animal. To be a human has to be worked on. It has to be earned. It has to be developed. It takes discipline. It is not simply walking around and wearing clothes. Literally, a monkey can do that. An ape can do that. It's some apes with more skills than you. It's some monkeys and apes with more skills than the average person. Thank you, Richard Tracy. Just when I was about to get to it. So, the title of this video is Achieve Free Will, Know Thyself. What's that mean? Well, first of all, the greatest prison designed is the prison that does not alert you that you are a prisoner. If you don't know that you're a prisoner, you're not going to try to escape. The greatest prison designed is to not alert you that you are a prisoner of it. And we're talking about Tartarus, right? The Titans were imprisoned in Tartarus. And what we're talking about is the physical dimension, the physical body. Again, this is not new information, although it isn't talked about very much. This is not new information. The soul experiences third dimensional reality by using a human animal as a vehicle. And it's done for a reason. Because the human experience is the most useful and appropriate experience to refine what the God nature means, what the transcendental mind nature means. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to stay R&B, but these streets keep calling me. Rachel Kanata repeatedly keeps asking, add me. Because of that, I'm going to block you. Natural Mystic says, that's why shallow versions of that say, I shall not want. Exactly. Exactly. Is existential says you're talking on the oversoul. Yeah. There's all kinds of different names for it, literally. And what I'm telling you is that this stuff is in the Bible. It's not something that you've never heard of before. It just hasn't been explained. Now, in the Hebrew tradition, we have what's called the neshama, which is the animal body, which has its own karma and its own destiny. It's not permanent for you. This human body is not permanent for you. Fuck what happens to the human body. You literally have a different destiny than the human body. The human body is literally just a vehicle. That's what we're going to start reading about here in Dharana Darshan in just a few minutes. Next to the human body, soul, the animal soul, on top of that, you've got the ego, which is the human mind, which is the rational, which is the self-awareness. In the Hebrew, they call that the ruach. The ruach is the self-awareness, right? Animals don't have that. The self-awareness, that's why I call it the human soul, the human mind. It's the self-awareness of this body, and the body that has feelings, that has ideas, opinions. And on top of that is the God soul, that's known as the neshama in the Hebrew. This is transcendental consciousness. Now, this is something that literally has to be worked for. A certain sense of discipline has to be achieved A certain sense of refinement has to be achieved. This is what the spiritual practice is all about. This is what the spiritual practice is all about. But what you're going to find is that 9 times out of 10, the people that you run into are strictly animal. Strictly animal. They've got work to do, just like you did at some point in your life, when you were a child, when you were young, when you were unaware, right? Peace, awakened grace, long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay, so just like we saw that previous figure of the human being with the tattvas, the human being with the chakras, we can also add to that the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, because obviously you see the figure of the human being in the background. This is the same diagram. Same diagram. A different angle. A different angle. And what we know of is that the animal soul, the nefesh, is Yesod itself. So this is the animal soul. And it's ruled by the moon. It is lunar. Right? Next we have the Ruach, which is what I said, that self-awareness. That self-awareness, the human mind. That is Tifereth, the sun. Now check this out. When you speak about the chakras, you know that there are 2 energy streams that flow through the chakras. You've seen the image of a person with with 2 serpents, 2 snakes flowing left and right, right? You've seen that image. Have you never seen that image before? Talk to me. And if you have seen those images and you know what it is, what do those 2 serpents represent? What do those 2 serpents represent that are flowing in and out? Right? The 2 serpents that you see flowing through both sides of each of the chakra points, what do they represent? Gerald Songbright says, would those 2 snakes be the Ida and Pingala? Matthew Watson says, peace family, Ida and Pingala. Exactly. You're exactly right. The Ida and the Pingala. Now, tell me this. Naturally natured, peace, long time no see. When it comes to the Ida and the Pingala, what do they represent? What do they represent? What rules over the Ida and what rules over the Pingala? Like, what type of energy do those 2 forces represent? Sirius Sue 888 says female and male. Yes, let's get deeper into it though. Gerald Songbright says solar and lunar. Precisely. That's why I brought that up. Let's make it make sense now. The animal body is ruled by Yesod. The human soul is ruled by Tifereth. The Ida, which is lunar, rules the animal nature. The Pingala, which is solar, rules the mental nature, the human nature. So what we have here is that the animal soul and the human soul do work together, but they are often out of balance, which is why we have the world we have today. Most people are, like I said, primarily animal in nature, ruled by the moon, but not only ruled by the moon, guess what? Ruled by astrology. Ruled by astrology. Right? This is why astrology works. This is why astrology works. Right? It isn't hocus pocus. In fact, astrology is based on fact. It's based on the precise position of the planets in the sky. And you may be a certain person who's involved in the work, and you might read astrology and you'll be like, wow, this doesn't apply to me at all. But there's a reason for that. It's not because astrology is fake. It's because astrology primarily rules over people who are animal in nature. People who are animal in nature are bound by the movements of matter, bound by the movements of the material that makes them up. And that material is extremely predictable. It's extremely predictable. You know what it's gonna do, just like you know what your dog is gonna do. If you haven't potty trained him, you know he's gonna shit on the floor, right? If you leave some food out, you know they're gonna eat that food. The animal nature is predictable. So this is why I talked about freedom. Look at what it says here in this text. It says, the things they consider to be expressions of their free will are predetermined by astrological factors at birth. At birth. So when you come into this world and you do absolutely no work on your spiritual self, when you do absolutely no work, everything that you do, behavior-wise, emotionally, and mentally, can be predicted. This is why we have certain psychological sciences like neuro-linguistic programming, because the human animal is entirely predictable. Entirely predictable. It's only a handful of emotions you can feel. It's only a handful of emotions. It's only a handful of experiences, right? So for one to be completely engrossed, to be completely consumed by the will of the animal soul, you don't have free will. And I don't feel bad about saying that. You don't have free will. Let me know. Quay Sewell says, Trav, on the last stream you were talking about the three gunas. I realized that in the analysis of the keyword ritual is the three gunas. L for the morning Isis, V for Apophis and Typhon, X for Osiris risen. Absolutely, bro. LVX777, the three gunas. The three gunas. This is how we go. Gang stalking simulation. Peace. Richard Tracy, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sunshine Chick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so next we're going to get into the text, really going more into what I just explained as far as the solar and the lunar aspect. The solar and the lunar aspect. Okay, so the solar and the lunar aspect. This is why I'm bringing this up. So I showed the diagrams of the tattvas, I showed the diagrams of the chakras, and I showed the diagram of the tree of life. It's all one thing coming from a different angle. Solar and lunar. We know that the lunar rules the human body flesh. We know that the solar rules the human mind aspect. And this is why astrology affects us, because those two streams that flow in between the chakra points is what makes our human experience. And if we don't have any amount of temperance, any amount of self-control, or attempting to discipline those forces, we're no different from the animals that we see out here. No different. All right. I appreciate you, Richard Tracy, but slow down a little bit. Some of these people are regular viewers. Yamaika is cool, you know. Yeah, typically the trolls are pretty obvious. They're pretty obvious. So Delete them. 223 Soldier, he's a regular person as well. He's cool. But yeah, just to add some clarification, 223 Soldier, he says stop deleting comments, let people say whatever they want. No, and here's why. YouTube has recently changed its algorithm, which is pretty awesome. Live streams that are filmed in vertical format are now featured on the shorts shelf, as they call it. So people scrolling through shorts will come across live streams at random. Now this widens the reach exponentially, and I'm happy for that. However, what that also does is that brings more people into this live stream that don't belong here, and they show that they don't belong here by leaving dumbass comments. So it's very useful to have moderators to help to get those comments off the channel, so that it doesn't distract for what's being taught. So yeah, there will be a lot of deleting going on. However, there are some people who have been a part of this channel for a long time, and I get it, you know. Maybe certain moderators might not know that. That's okay. For example, as you can look at the freaking chat, you can see it, right? You can see it right here. But no, I appreciate the enthusiasm and I appreciate what you're doing. As a matter of fact, give me just a second. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna be right back. Right back. Back at it again with the fresh vans. Back at it again with the fresh vans. How we doing tonight? How are we doing tonight? Brother's eyes on the scope. I love it. Ro Rockin' Peace. Ro Rockin' says, this is my favorite channel on YouTube. No cap. Comment more, brother. Much love to the moderators. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get back to the heat. In the heat of the night. Okay, so we were talking about the animal nature versus the human mind, the human soul, which, believe it or not, is a huge distinction. In fact, in last night's reading of the book, The Magician, His Training and Work, we talked about how the abyss is literally between the animal body, the human mind, and the God soul. The abyss between the animal body and the human soul is called the Veil of Paraketh. If you study the occult, you'll know that it's the Veil of Paraketh. And the gulf between the human soul and the God soul is called Doth. Doth. So if we were to look at the map of Kabbalah, we'd understand that the Veil of Paraketh happens right here. The Veil of Paraketh is right here above Yesod. And what we just learned was that Yesod is the function, the power of the animal soul, right? And that's a gulf, a gap, an abyss between the animal soul and the human soul. Now there's an even deeper gulf and abyss, and you can see it on this map right here. It's known as Doth. That is the gulf and the gap between the human soul and the God soul. That's what Doth is, the separation. James Panos says, I'm edging to your stream. Awesome. Ali Khan says, so humans are deeper than animals, or... I mean, that's got to be a question you got to figure out. Are you deeper than the animals in your atmosphere? Or are you on the same level? Do you do the things that animals do? Have animals traditionally done the things that humans do? You tell me. All right, let's keep going. So like I mentioned, the solar and the lunar aspects of the being, right? The solar and the lunar aspects of the being. We're going to read from chapter 2 of Durana Darshan. I've talked about this book so many times on my channel. You should definitely have it in your library. Like, you should be able to reach over right now and grab this and turn to chapter 2 and see exactly what I'm talking about. Why? Why? Because this book is the only book you need to understand why you should meditate, how you should meditate, and what to meditate on. And it describes it in plain and simple language. Plain and simple language. So let's talk about chapter 2. And even here it talks about what's known as the barrier of Laya, right? Those of you who have read this book understand that the barrier of Laya is another name for that initial gap between the animal and the human. You'll find the barrier of Laya in chapter 4. The barrier of Laya, chapter 4. I'm telling you, you need this book if you're serious about spiritual understanding and growth. But we're going to read from chapter 2, and we're going to get into what I had mentioned about the solar and the lunar aspects of the soul. Oh, that's a good point. Sirius Su 888 says the 30-second path is leaving the animalistic nature. Exactly. Lance Benefield, peace. Good to see you. That's funny, Oath. I was thinking the same thing. Oath says the moderators are doing the work of Gibbera. Yeah. So I was thinking of giving a name to the moderators. And it's probably going to have to be Gibbera based. Castle Culture UK says, so when you're remembering that I am the presence acting everywhere, are you crossing that abyss? What you're doing there is you're starting to build a concept of that presence. This is one of the things that I've been talking about the past couple of nights. You don't just do it. You don't just cross the abyss. You don't just all of a sudden become God. You don't all of a sudden become enlightened. You don't all of a sudden just, oh, I get it now, right? You have to build the concept first. You have to fill up the concept. You have to create the concept in your mind. And once you do that, the connection of you reaching up and the God reaching down fills that concept with the substance of what you're looking for. So you create the concept first. This is why you do your rituals. This is why you do your ceremony, to create the concept first. Once the concept is thoroughly created, when you make contact, that concept that you made becomes the laboratory, the playground, the holy space where the spirit enters. You got to create a space for the spirit to enter. Okay, now, where were we? Training the mind. Training the mind. Alright, so, training the mind. Consciously, subconsciously, and unconsciously, we are doing 1,000 things at any given moment. The sensory faculty, which is most active in one situation, is making us aware of that experience. For example, if it is very hot in the room and you begin to sweat heavily, then your total attention will be drawn to the feeling of heat, despite your best efforts to concentrate on what you're doing. There will not be much awareness of your attention on anything else. Right? Makes sense so far? Take another example. Suddenly you remember that you forgot to lock your house. Then despite your best efforts to be attentive at what you're actually doing, 80% of your awareness will be at the door of your house. So the faculty which is predominant at any given time influences the state of your awareness. The faculty which is predominant at any given time influences the state of your awareness. So notice how this ties into the animal nature. If your animal nature is saying, I'm hungry, I'm horny, I'm angry, I'm depressed, right? Any of these things and more, if the animal body is focused on them, you can't think about anything else, right? So when I say you don't have free will, that's what I mean. No matter what you're trying to think about or what you're trying to do, the animal nature will be there to override and influence everything. Everything. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Joker says Black Darth Sidious. Don't flatter me. I'm trying to teach. Take another example. Suddenly you remember that you forgot to lock your house. Then, nope, I said that already. In this way, the mind blocks off many other areas in which our awareness can be extended. In yoga, the focusing all the faculties at one point, we concentrate and relax the mind. Instead of 100 things happening simultaneously, perhaps 10 things will happen, and 90% of our faculties will be at one point. This is the concept of dharana, the aspect of mental training in yoga. Dharana. Despite what's happening on the outside, despite what's happening all around you, dharana is the concept of fixating your consciousness into one single point. What's the opposite? The opposite is you being scattered and distracted. oh, well, I didn't do this yesterday and I'm supposed to do that, and I got to talk to this person and I hope they don't do this. Your mind is typically scattered, powerless. A scattered mind is powerless. You hear me? We talk about Dharana. That's the first step to having magical power, to having spiritual power, to be able to fixate your mind at one point despite whatever else might be going on anywhere else. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The concept of Dharana is not just to stop the thoughts, right? But to bring your attention, your awareness, to a stage where most of the faculties of the body and mind are functioning together, where most of the faculties of the body and the mind are functioning together. That's the point. That's the point of this type of meditation technique, so that your body and your mind and all the faculties therein are functioning together. Why? Because it's a system. It's a system. It's an operating system. That's why I showed you the picture of the chakras and the tattvas and the tree of life. It is a system. And the point is to allow the system to work together, to flow together seamlessly. That is power. That's how you affect change. That's how you create. That's how you do whatever it is that you do successfully. It's called alignment. It's called alignment. That's where manifestation comes from. That's where manifestation comes from. So if they're not telling you this, and they're talking about this is how you manifest, but they're not telling you how to come into alignment with your animal nature, your human nature, and your God nature, they're not telling you anything. Let's keep going. And again, this is why I say knowledge of self is the key to liberation. This is why I'm talking about the different states or aspects of the being. If you don't know that you have an animal body doing animal stuff, if you don't know that, then you won't do anything about it. Let's continue. The concept of Dharana is not just to stop the thoughts, but to bring your attention, your awareness, to a stage where most of the faculties of the body and mind are functioning together. Therefore, in Dharana, there is a greater relaxation, greater mental power, greater concentration. This is the way to train the mind. With this mental training, we become objectively aware of our surroundings and our interactions with our surroundings. With greater awareness, we are able to control the distressing negative traits of our personality, the negative thoughts and emotions, the feelings of anger, anxiety, frustration, depression, and so forth. Essentially, we have the potential to fully develop and express all the faculties at our command together. And this is the aim of Dharana. When this state has been achieved, then the meditative experience will automatically dawn as the mind becomes relaxed, harmonious, and receptive to a broader dimension of consciousness. So not only does this allow you to come into a sense of oneness and unity with yourself, it also brings a release from anxiety and sadness and a bunch of negative emotions. Because most of those things are caused by the mind running around, being distracted and scattered everywhere. But coming into a point of centeredness, one-pointedness, you start to learn, understand, and realize, again, this is where true power is. This is where true power is. Now, this is what I really wanted to get into. The transformation of consciousness. If you have this book, this is on page 13. Page 13. I urge you to read this book. Sirius Su 888 says the hotel might be more elaborate than I thought. Yeah, always, right? Always. Always more elaborate than we thought. Okay, all right. So Transformation of consciousness. According to yoga, the faculties of body and mind are subject to the influences of prana and cheetah. Have you heard of the word cheetah before? Have you heard of the word cheetah before? Let me know if you've heard of the word cheetah before, especially in this context of the soul. Have you heard the word cheetah before? Well, yeah. When we go to the Antakarana, right? The Antakarana, we talked about these four aspects of the self. Buddhi, Ahamkara, Manas, which is the body mind, the human soul, and the transcendental soul. Cheetah here, right? Cheetah being memory. Cheetah being mind stuff. Cheetah being the aspect of reality that we create our experience out of. We grab a little bit of cheetah, and from that we form our memories. We grab a little cheetah, and from that we form the emotions that we feel. Cheetah is the substance from which we create our experience. There's a word for this. There's a name for this. And that's Dharana Darshan, right? Dharana Darshan, page 45, page 46. Again, you should have these books, right? Jancy Lewis, peace. Om Narayana Namaha. Om Narayana Namaha. So let's keep going, right? In Dharana Darshan, we're talking about the fact that we have the animal soul and we have the human soul, which are, for the most part, working against each other. And what the goal is to have them working in harmony with each other. In harmony with each other. Mind stuff. Okay, so according to yoga, the faculties of body and mind are subject to the influences of prana and cheetah. Prana Shakti is the vital energy. Prana Shakti is the vital energy. Prana Shakti, the solar, sun, vital energy. And what aspect of the soul does that deal with? Remember what I said, Tifereth and Yasad. Solar energy. He says that Prana Shakti is the solar vital energy controlling the physical sensory body. Cheetah Shakti is the mental energy controlling the consciousness, the mind. In order to understand prana and cheetah and to further clarify our concept of mental training, we must also understand one more point. Pure transcendental or divine consciousness resides at the level which is beyond elemental consciousness. So, we talked about those two forms of consciousness, the solar and the lunar. One deals with the body itself, one deals with the mind. What he's saying here in this text is that there's a third aspect. And that third aspect is called pure transcendental or divine consciousness resides at the level which is beyond elemental consciousness. Beyond elemental consciousness. Let's talk now. I've said all this stuff and I've laid out all these diagrams for a specific reason. He said that it's beyond elemental consciousness. What does elemental consciousness mean? What are these right here? These are the 5 elements. Elements: earth, water, fire, air, Akash. That is elemental consciousness. And notice how it is attributed to the body. And we've already went through the process of showing you that these are the same thing as the chakras, right? The Muladhara chakra has the square. The Swadhisthana chakra has the moon. The Manipura chakra literally has this triangle down to the fact with the little things on the side, right? The Anahata chakra has the hexagon. You've seen this already, right? Literally. 2.23 Soldier says, do NPCs have real souls? Everything alive has a soul, but think of it in quantity. Quantity. As far as a soul, they might have 0.001%. They might have 0.2%, 0.3%. It's none of our business. But everything alive has a soul, yes, no matter how great in quantity or how small in quantity. So look, when you're doing your meditations on your chakras or your tattvas, understand that what you're working with are different aspects of your soul. That's why we do these lower meditations, lower rituals so frequently, because we're attempting to get our soul aspect into alignment with the higher aspect. Now, I just wanted to show once more, this is elemental consciousness, the elements, earth, water, fire, air, Akash. Let's keep going because it goes even further than this. Elemental consciousness. So, Dharana Darshan, page 13. Elemental consciousness means awareness or consciousness of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind. These are the 6 basic elements of which our being is composed. He's telling you here, and he already told us here. In Kundalini Yoga, pure consciousness is represented in our personality as the experience of Sahasrara Chakra. That's the crown. That's the crown. He says that in Kundalini Yoga, pure consciousness is represented in our personality as the experience of Sahasrara Chakra, where there is no duality. Where there is no duality. There's no distinction between subject and object. However, when this pure energy, this pure awareness decides to manifest in the world of the senses and the objects, it has to go through a process of transformation. It has to go through a process of transformation. Now let's talk about this process of transformation. Here we go. All right. Here's a metaphor for the chakras. Here's a metaphor for this process of transformation. Like you said before, we've got elemental consciousness, which is strictly the body. Strictly the body. But if you want pure consciousness, it's somewhere outside of the body. Now here's the thing. That's somewhere outside of the body, that crown chakra, it has to come down into the body. And when that consciousness comes down into the body, it is transformed, it is regulated, it is broken down into something you can work with. Even so-called NPCs go through this process. Everybody goes through this process. When we think about, oh, I'm getting a download from the spirit, right? Oh, I'm getting some kind of, well, the spirit's talking to me, whatever. It's getting broken down by your chakras until you can translate that message into something that you can understand. Most people don't have a very wide vocabulary, literally when they're talking, let alone spiritually. So when that information comes and it gets broken down, they don't know how to describe it to other people, let alone themselves. This is why I say one of the most important things you need to do as an occultist is to expand your library of correspondences. Expand your library of correspondences. So, let's get into what he says about the chakras and the process of breaking down this spiritual energy into a language which you can understand. And he's telling you the function of the chakras, why they exist, what it's all about. Right? What it's all about. Supremacy McCoy, peace. Let's get it. Let's get it. Like Clown Ananostra says, will this live be up tomorrow? Really interested, but getting a little tired to keep up. Absolutely, my man. It'll be up tomorrow. You can check it out. Just Ridiculing Curriculum says you just inspired an album concept I want to try. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me know how it develops, my friend. The Courageous Mongol Genghis says, I have no idea what he's talking about. You don't belong here. Uh-oh. All right, here we go. So, the pure awareness is like the high voltage energy coming directly from a power generator, which cannot be carried by small electrical wires that simply conduct 220 volts for household purposes. This high voltage energy must be conducted through different transformers in order to step it down. These transformers, which reduce the voltage of energy in our psychic body, are 6 in number, right? So you already know the 6, right? They are known as the chakras, or the psychic centers. Here we go. They are known as the chakras. What's known as the chakras, right? The high voltage energy must be conducted through different transformers in order to step it down. So you know what it means, right? You know what it means, right? Clown a Nostra. There we go. La Clown a Nostra. I know I said it wrong. Usually I don't say names wrong, but I had a feeling that I pronounced it wrong. All right. Back to it. The chakras, the psychic centers. When we begin to manifest absolute consciousness and energy on the material plane from pure consciousness, the process of transformation first goes to the mental level, creation of mind, right? The cheetah prana. The mental force located at Ajna chakra in the midbrain is the first indriya, or the sensory organ, through which we can perceive the world in any color or form we wish. You choose. And you've heard of the Indriyas before, right? When we talked about Dharana Darshan. Get these books if you want to understand. Here we go. The Indriyas, right? Look, the 10 Indriyas. And notice how they are connected to Buddhi. The 10 Indriyas. And what are the 10 Indriyas? This is important to understand, just like the gunas and everything else. Right? Look at the 10 Indriyas. There is the ears, or let's say the perception of sound, the skin, the perception of feeling, the eyes, the perception of form, the tongue, the perception of taste, and the nose, the perception of smell. Those are the 5 senses, right? And here are the other 5, because there's 10 Indriyas. Speech, right? The hand, or the organ of grasping, the foot, or the organ of moving, the reproductory organ of generation, and the anal region, the organ of excavation. These are the 10 Indriyas. So let's go back so that we understand the words without skipping anything. The mental force located at the Ajna chakra, the third eye, is the midbrain, and it's the first Indriya, or the sensory organ, through which we can perceive the world in any color or form we wish. That's what your third eye is all about. The second stage of transformation is the Akasha tattva, the ether element, which is slightly denser than the mind. It is perceived through the sense of sound. Here, the energy is stepped down by the Vishuddhi chakra located in the throat. That's the throat chakra, right? So from the third eye, being able to perceive the world however you want to, it is then stepped down and processed into the Akasha tattva. In other words, the Vishuddhi chakra, right? Those of you who know, who have memorized the chakra points, you can follow along. It's kind of difficult to present a picture at the same time as I read. maybe at a later date. The third stage of transformation is the Vayu Tattva, the air element, which is denser than ether and perceived by touch, right? Perceived by touch. Here the energy is stepped down by the Anahata chakra, located at the heart. So the heart chakra is synonymous with the air element. The fourth stage is the Agni Tattva, the fire element, which is denser than air. It is perceived by sight. Here, the energy is stepped down by the Manipura chakra, located at the navel. The fifth stage of transformation is the Apas Tattva, the water element, which is deeper than fire, denser than fire. It is perceived by taste, right? So the water element is characterized by taste. Here, the energy is stepped down by the Swadhisthana chakra, which is located at the pubis, the sexual region. The last dimension of transformation is Prithvi Tattva, that's the square, right? Prithvi Tattva, the earth element, which is the densest element. It is perceived by smell, right? The earth element is associated with smell. Here, the dormant Kundalini, or the spiritual energy force, resides in the Muladhara chakra at the perineum. That's where the Kundalini resides, at that dense, lowest aspect of the earth element in the root chakra. Is it making sense so far? And that's a good point. Castle Culture UK says you can literally see matter forming as he reads through this process. Right. He's speaking about how matter goes from the high. That's what it was all about, right? Transforming this high voltage of energy into the lower perceivable aspects. That's what he's talking about. Okay, so developing a broader vision. This has been the growth of the evolution of pure energy and transcendental consciousness from the sublime to the ridiculous. We are now functioning almost entirely at the level of matter, right? So now at the lowest point, the level of matter. The senses express their faculties at this level. The senses, your five senses, express their faculties at this level we're talking about. Even the mind, which is the next level down from transcendental consciousness. So look, again, he's giving you the clues. There are three levels, three aspects of the soul. There's transcendental consciousness, which is at the top. There's the mind, which is in the middle. And I've called it the human soul. And at the bottom, there's the animal soul. Your human body is an animal that you just so happen to be riding on top of. This is the beast of Revelation. And in the image of Revelation, where they talk about the harlot riding up on top of the seven-headed dragon, the beast, that is your body. Your human body is its own individual thing. But the fact that you think that it's you is part of the reason why you are a slave. It's part of the reason why you're a slave. Because if someone can appeal to that animal and make that animal make decisions based on its feelings, you go right along with it without contest or protest. You literally give up your power so that you can be one with this beast. And you know who you are. You probably got mad when I said that. You probably got mad when I said that. Jay Balhael says the lust card and the Thoth deck. Yeah, that's the lust card. That's the devil card. Absolutely. But you know, that symbolism came from the Bible. Danny Doom, peace and welcome. ACW, peace, my brother, peace. Look, we cannot see beyond our own limited vision. So the senses express their faculties at this level. Even the mind, which is at the level down from the transcendental consciousness, expresses itself at the level of matter. There's stagnation of the faculties at this level. This stagnation does not have to be defined. We are all living examples of stagnation of consciousness and energy. We are all living examples of stagnation of consciousness and energy. And remember what was said last night in our book study of The Magician and His Training and Work, when he was talking about talismans, right? Talismans. All of the material plane is one thing. It doesn't matter whether it's poop or honey. Everything in the physical plane is one thing. Now the problem is, right, this is why you have to purify and you have to cleanse and you have to do rituals to banish. It's not because anything physical is evil or bad. It's because the energies that flow through these things are either scattered or concentrated. So if you've got a crystal out here going from hand to hand, all your friends and everybody just dealing with crystals, there are so many different energies and intentions going through that crystal. So for you to take that crystal and just try to use it yourself, you're not going to get the experience that you expect. Simply because there are so many different intentions absorbed by that crystal. But once you take a moment to purify and cleanse that crystal or that object, whatever it may be, because there ain't no difference between a crystal and a book or a shirt or a toy. When you take the time to purify and cleanse, you're banishing all those extra random energies and concentrating your specific intention so that that object can go to work for you specifically in the way that you commanded to. Check. Does that make sense? Check. Ro Rockin says honey and poop are both excretions. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I mean, technically, you're an excretion too. Framestar Films, peace, my brother. We're back at it again. Quay Soul says, I found that banishing makes the magic stronger. Yeah, because you're concentrating your intent. Absolutely. Absolutely. And hey guys, if you see it so fitting, if this is something that you can do, I'd like to ask you to donate to the New Computer Phone, the New Computer Fund. Recently, I've had some issues with my electronics, my computer, my phone, and all that good stuff hasn't been working properly. So, as I get myself back on my feet, I'd like to ask that you, if you're able to, send a donation to the pinned comment right here in the chat. Right on, right on. I think we'll go back to the previous track. I don't know about this new one. All right, so let's keep going. The stagnation of the faculties at this level. There is stagnation of the faculties at this level. This stagnation does not have to be defined. We are all living examples of stagnation of consciousness and energy. We cannot see beyond our own limited vision. In order to evolve the vision from the level of matter into the higher realms of perception, what do we have to do? We must go through the process of mental training. What is the process of mental training? Concentration and meditation. Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it? The process of concentration and meditation. Remember, we talked once again last night in this book where he spoke about the fundamentals of your magical practice Who was here last night? What was the fundamentals of your magical practice? Somebody tell me, who was here last night? Just Ridiculing Curriculum says there's a cool playlist called The Best Dark Vintage Ambient Samples. I think you'd like it. All right, let me type that in to check that out. All right, if you were here last night for last night's book study, you'll know that the fundamental practices were learning how to still the body, with willpower, and learning how to focus and concentrate on the breath. Those are the fundamentals. The fundamentals. So, in order to evolve this vision from the level of matter into the higher realms of perception, we must go through the process of mental training, of concentration and meditation. The science of meditation transcends the totality of human experience. What? The science of meditation transcends the totality of the human experience. And may I remind you, he says it transcends the human experience. Don't we have 3 experiences that we deal with? We've got the animal experience, we've got the human experience, and we've got the God experience. And that's what he's talking about. The human experience, you don't have to go very far to know what that's all about. You don't. The human experience is above that. That's the state of mind. Before he talked about the 6 chakras, which is the earth, water, fire, air, akash, and mind. Right? That's the animal experience and the human experience. What he's talking about here, the aim of meditation is to raise the awareness. Look, you've got to be aware of something. You got to be aware of something before you can experience it. That's what I meant by saying you have to build a concept of a thing first. Look at this. The aim of meditation is to raise the awareness to such a state or dimension where one no longer experiences the motion of consciousness and energy. The motion of consciousness and energy is happening in the animal soul and in the human soul. It is not happening in the transcendental soul. Right? Danny Doom says, I'm not new. I'm longtime lurker. I'm Danny from Occult Channel Legion of Lilith. I appreciate your channel. I hope one day we could have you on for an interview. Absolutely, man. Just send me a message. We can do it. Like, I'm open for interviews for sure. So far, the ones that I've done have been pretty neat, and I'm open to do more. It has been described in the Upanishads as a conscious state where the sun does not shine, the moon does not give light, the fire does not burn. And once a person reaches that stage, he does not return. Like, where would you have to be? Where would you have to be? Where would you have to be to where the sun doesn't shine, the moon doesn't give light, and fire doesn't burn? Obviously, you'd have to be beyond the body. You'd have to be beyond the physical body. Right? And hell, you'd have to be beyond the mind, because in your dreams, doesn't fire burn? In your dreams, doesn't the sun shine? In your dreams, doesn't the moon give light? So you'd have to be somewhere beyond the physical body and somewhere beyond the mind. He says that once a person reaches that stage, he does not return. But when you touch it, you don't come back. When you taste it, you don't come back. When you hear it, you don't come back. When you smell it, you don't come back. You don't come back. Koi Sewell says, Legion of Lilith is a good channel. Cool seeing you here. Awesome, awesome. Surya, the sun, represents the pranic energy. Okay, Surya, you know that Surya is the sun. Those of you who are doing your planetary mantras, those of you who have done your planetary mantras know that Sunday, which is today, is the day where we do Surya, the sun, planetary mantra. And it represents the pranic energy, the animal body. Chandra, the moon, represents the mental energy. Surya is the energy which governs the world of matter. Surya, the sun, is the energy which governs the world of matter. That's the animal body. Gang Stalking Simulation says the bots are hyped tonight, Travis. I mean, actually, compared to the past couple of live streams, they're pretty tame tonight. They're pretty basic. We ain't even got the full Giba Raw force. Surya. Alright, Surya. So, Chandra, which is the moon, governs the subtle dimension of thought and mind. Agni, or fire, represents the vitality of Prana Shakti and Cheetah Shakti. So the fire element is going to represent both the body and the human mind. The motion of Prana Shakti and Cheetah Shakti in the gross and subtle world. This is what's important about tonight's live stream and the live stream that I did a couple of nights ago, Thursday. What I'm saying to you here is that it has always been established in the occult that there are different kinds of people. And not just a feeling that you have, oh, this person ain't woke, or I can't trust this one, or this person knows so I can trust them. Not just feeling. It's been documented and laid out. When it comes to the human individual, there are 3 categories of soul. And they exist in percentage. So stop saying that people don't have a soul, or NPCs don't have a soul, whatever. That's not the case. It's percentage. NPCs have a soul, a God soul, but it's in a very small quantity. What we're dealing with is the 3 levels of animal soul, human soul, and God soul. Most of the human race has a high quantity of the animal soul, and they cannot break away from the patterns of the animal nature. They cannot break away from the habits of the animal nature. They are ruled by, governed by, enslaved by the beast that rules their body. I'm not trying to talk down. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not being anything like that. What I'm stating is the obvious. You can see it even if you don't believe in any of this spiritual stuff. You know that most people are bound by their animal nature, and there's a reason why. There's a reason. No, the ZZ3RO says the beast is the ego. Then no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's 3 levels. The beast is the animal body, like your human body with the 2 legs, the 2 arms, and the head. That is an animal. It's not something other than the animal. It is an animal. And because it is an animal, it has its own intentions. It has its own desires, its own fears, right? The human body is an animal. On top of that is what we call humanity. And that's your ability to be self-aware. That's your ability to analyze and to think and to believe and to question and all this other stuff that we consider to be human. Now, above that we have the God nature, which is transcendental to all that nonsense. It's transcendental to the 5 elements. It's transcendental to being an animal. It's transcendental to being self-aware and having opinions. And I feel like this and I want that. It's transcendental to even all that stuff, right? So it's difficult for a person to reach the human level, let alone the God level. You don't have it just because you say you do. It displays itself based on your behavior. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Adam Davis says planetary mantras have been working for me very well. Awesome. In their hour daily as much as possible. Incredible way to expand your library of correspondences. That's dope, my friend. That's dope. Castle Culture UK says 98% animal soul, 1.8% human, and 0.2 God. That sounds about right, bro. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. All right, so through the process of dharana, which is one pointed focus, one pointed concentration, through the process of dharana, we reach a point where the total cessation of movement, where everything just stops, where there is no activity. In this state of inactivity, there is a drowning of human perception. Now, you know now, based on what we've talked about, when he says a drowning of human perception, we're talking about the human soul. That middle aspect has been transcended. Obviously, the animal soul has been transcended, but now the human soul has been transcended. What he's talking about here with dharana, through this simple exercise that is laid out in this book, you can transcend not only your beast level, but you will also liberate yourself from the human level. And humanity is the only true evil. Hell, the beast mode ain't even evil. When you look out into nature and you see the lions and the gazelles and the bears and the salamanders and the squids, that's not evil. It's eat or be eaten. That's just the way it goes. And we say, to make ourselves feel better, oh, it's a part of an ecosystem. Oh, the animals do this because it's part of the ecosystem, da 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 da. But when it comes to human beings, we suddenly forget that. Understand, the human race is an animal species, and we too are part of the ecosystem. And what's happening in the world is part of the ecosystem, and it is a state of the evolution of the world. It's an indicator of the state of evolution of the world as a whole. So all the things that you see us do with COVID and low birth rates for specific races and immigration and all these other things that we complain about, all these other things that we try to make a big deal about, understand that's nature as well. That's because most of these people that are doing these things, and I mean a hard most, homeboy earlier said 98%, a hard most, are ruled by their animal nature. Therefore, this is only nature playing out, which is even more of a reason to demonstrate why it's none of your business. Fuck them people. Fuck the stuff they're going through. Fuck all that. What we're dealing with is something that goes beyond. It's your individual soul we're talking about here. Not them folks. Not them folks. I don't know, man. I feel like, I don't know. I would hope that we got a couple of human souls here who are reaching up to their God level. But sometimes I wonder, man, because like we said, 80 to 90% is animal soul. How many people really hear what I'm trying to teach here? How many people are understanding what's in the text? How many people really are understanding what's being presented? Right? Is it just me? Is it a bunch of animal souls out there? I don't know. I don't know. I like to believe that there are people like me that are trying to break this info down and try to understand where they stand. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm going to believe the best. Through the process of Dharana, we reach a point where there is a total cessation of movement, where everything just stops, where there is no activity. In this state of inactivity, there is a drowning of human perception. Drowning of human perception. In the state of activity, experiences happen very fast. How many of y'all have been experiencing the acceleration of time, where things just keep happening faster and faster and faster, and it feels like the day is like 3 hours long, right? Where you wake up and then everything just happens, and all of a sudden we're in the next day, and all of a sudden it's next week. How many people have experienced time speeding up? In this state of inactivity, there is a drowning of human perception. In the state of activity, experiences happen very fast. We sit in the train, and as the train moves, we look out the window and see scenery flashing by. Mountains, fields, trees, rivers, villages, towns, and cities pass by at great speed. However, when the train stops and we look out the window, then we can see the static world, and there's a greater, broader vision. It is this greater vision of life which is supposed to be the achievement we all aspire for in yoga and in meditation. At the ground level, our vision is very limited. When we go to the first floor of our vision, when we go to the first floor, our vision broadens a little bit. When we go to the second floor, we see a greater view. If we go to the third floor, there is a greater vision. The higher up we go, the broader the vision becomes. Let me read it again. The higher up we go, the broader the vision becomes. If we go to the topmost floor of our building, which in our physical body is the 7th floor, the 7th chakra, right? Peep the metaphor. The higher up we go, the broader the vision becomes. If we go to the topmost floor of our building, which in our physical body is the 7th floor, then we will have a very broad vision of the world and of ourselves. When we have this vision, then we can attain satya, absolute truth. We become one with reality. We become one with reality. So why would he say that we become one with reality? Because you'd think, oh, I'm already one with reality. I already experience reality. No. The same that you don't have free will, you are not living in reality. You're living in a version of reality for sure. Your version, based on what your animal body wants to perceive. Right? Castle Culture UK says, so what just meditation does this, or is it a specific type? My great suggestion is to buy this book, Dharana Darshan. It has at least 100 different meditations for you to experience. But what he's talking about is the actual definition of meditation, and not just sitting still thinking about your grocery list, right? I suggest getting this book, Dharana Darshan, because there are quite a few different meditations, and each one of them can bring you to a higher state. Each one of them. When I tried to go through this live with a group, we really didn't get past the second or third meditation because we were having such deep experiences, we had to stop. WVT, peace. Peace. All right, we're going to wrap it up here soon. How do you guys like this live stream? How do you guys like the content in this live stream? That's the real question. By the way, just to let you know, I'm gonna plant this seed and put it out there. We've got a class coming very soon. This is the second round, so that means that we've already done this class successfully with several people. We've got a second round of the cyclomancy class. Now, you may not know the lore, but Brother Panic was in the process of doing the cyclomancy class, and it didn't really get through because he passed away. So what I've done is I've taken the reins and I've run through the cyclomancy class. We've already done one round of it. We're going through the second round again. So if you're interested in learning the secret power of psychic control, stay tuned, because this class will be running here at the end of this month. We had a little bit of a delay, but we're back on track here very soon. That's why I have at the top, support the new computer fund, because my computer kind of died, and so did two of my phones. But now that we're getting back on track, we are running the cyclomancy class for the second time. So if you're interested in this will be the last time I do this, because we're moving on to other stuff. If you're interested in this, you can hit me up on Instagram, or you can just stay tuned for when I make the announcement. We're getting back into this at the end of the month. And by the way, all the old students who took the first class, you're welcome to come back, because I think that you guys can help the new people in learning how to implement some of these techniques. So I'm putting that out there. This is what we will be launching towards the end of the week. All right, so let's get back into what we were reading here. MC Maestro, peace, brother, peace. MC Maestro says Meditations from the Tantras is a great beginner book. Yes, you can easily find that on Amazon. Meditations from the Tantras. You can easily find that on Amazon. Just type that in, Meditations from the Tantras. Just Ridiculing Curriculum says, I like what you're building here, Trav. You're an awesome teacher. Thank you. Thank you. What did Butler say on the book read? I desire to know in order to serve. When you live that as a principle, like it shines through your every action. It shines through your every word. Jay Baldhale says, Trav, have you been able to check your IG messages yet? Yeah, I recently got a new phone. Please forgive me. I haven't been very enthusiastic to dig through everything. But yeah, I recently got a new phone and I'm back in there. If you sent me a new message, I guess if you can message me again so it can kind of come up to the top, because I've got a long list to go through. I'll absolutely be going through that later on tonight. Peace, Rue, I am. All right. I desire to know in order that I may serve. I desire to know in order that I may serve. It's contagious, really. Okay, you said 888 in the username. Great, great. Thank you. I don't want to ask what your name was because, you know, all these people here, but 888, I'll be able to remember that. All right, let's wrap this up. If we go to the topmost floor of our building, which is in our physical body, is the 7th floor. Of course, she's talking about the 7th chakra. Then we will have a very broad vision of the world and of ourselves. When we have this vision, then we attain Satya, the absolute truth. We become one with reality. So look at what he says here about reality. Generally, there are two experiences of life. I've got this highlighted for a reason. Look, there are two experiences of life. What are the two experiences of life? One is related to the appearance, and the other is related to the reality. So why would he make that distinction? There's two distinct experiences of life. One is related to the appearance, and one is related to the actual reality. We are more aware of the appearance and less aware of the reality. Our vision has to change. We have to become more aware of the reality and less aware of the appearance. That is the direction which the practices of dharana take. At the same time, there is relaxation, concentration, non-attachment, and attainment. When we are able to develop a concentrated mind, we will feel, realize, and understand that life is like a flower, and every unfoldment is beautiful. These are the words of the Paramahamsa Satyananda, and it is this video. Okay, so that's what I wanted to read. There was a lot more information that I thought would have been good to read. Specifically, I wanted to go into the 5 bodies, right? Here, the word kosha means sheath or body, and the pancha means 5. So, check this out: pancha kosha dharana. Concentration. Dharana is concentration on the 5 bodies. You have 5 bodies. This ain't new, because even when I broke down a couple days ago in the Golden Dawn text, matter of fact, let me show y'all, because a lot of folks just go off of words and don't care about proof. I want to give you beyond the shadow of a doubt information that when you come to this channel, everything is coming out the text, straight out the text. And see, I can stand on that, right? I can stand on business. So check this out. And the 3rd knowledge lecture of the Golden Dawn, this is what we talk about. The soul is divided by the Kabbalists into 3 principal parts, but we're actually going to talk about 5. Check this out. The first part is the neshama. This is the highest part, answering to the 3 supernals, which we know of as Chokmah, Bina, Kether. Number 2, the ruach is the middle part, answering to the 6 sephiroth from Chesed to Yesod, right? Yesod. Remember when he talked about how Yesod, or I should say cheetah, Prana, cheetah is related to the moon, right? And the mind, that's the ruach. Nefesh, the lowest, answering to Malkuth, right? That's 3. But look, we've got 2 more. Chia answers to Chokmah, and Yekida answers to Kether. So we've got a total of 5 bodies that even the Hebrew acknowledges, right? Even the Hebrew acknowledges. Uh-oh. 5. Pancha kosha. Where are we going with this? Dahara kasha. Pancha kosha dharana. See, we're breaking into this text and making it make sense. The word kosha means sheath or body, and pancha means 5, according to the yoga tradition. The human personality is comprised of 5 bodies. The human personality is composed of 5 bodies. The human personality is comprised of 5 bodies, or kosha. These 5 koshas range from the gross to the transcendental dimensions, and they belong to the experience of Daharakasha. And what are the 5? What are the 5? You don't have to name them, but let me know in the chat if you're aware of the 5. We first heard of those 5 from this text, unless you first heard of it from Dharana Darshan. I'm telling you, if you get these books, everything else falls into place. So in Tatwashuddhi, she talks about Tattvas and Koshas, the five bodies. She says that the different levels of existence in which the five Tattvas or Mahabhutas manifest are known as the Koshas in yoga, right? Kosha literally means sheath or covering. And what are the five? The five is the Annamaya Kosha, which is the sheath made of food, the physical body, the animal soul. Pranamaya Kosha, the sheath made of prana. Manomaya Kosha, which is made of mind and thought. Vijnanamaya Kosha, made of intuition. And lastly, Anandamaya Kosha, which is composed of bliss. Bliss is the word. Richard Tracy says Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. Exactly, right? Exactly. Somebody here knows what I'm talking about. And see, this goes back way further than anything that has been recently created. But see, this relates again back to the five elements here. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. Those relate to the five bodies, and they also relate to the lower five chakras. Man. So yeah, you know, not going to go into this tonight. I almost planned to, but the previous chapter took a little bit too long. But look, if you do have this book, Dharana Darshan, if you do have this book, which you should, being a member of my channel or being somebody who's followed my teachings for a while, Dharana Darshan, that's the text you want to have, right? Go ahead and jump to page 290. He literally breaks down, look, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha. He goes into it more in depth than she does in Tatwashuddhi. Manomaya Kosha, right? And then he finally goes into Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. And we're talking about paragraphs here, right? And then evolving through the koshas. I was going to read this, but I'm actually going to wrap this stream up tonight. If you've got this book, go ahead and go to page 290. I'm telling you, you're going to find some great information about what I've been talking about these past couple of days. And what I've been talking about these past couple of days specifically is the animal soul, the human soul, and the God soul. I've been telling you that those concepts are not brand new. When I say that somebody just reincarnated from a dog, so they still have dog tendencies, somebody just reincarnated from a damn alligator, so they got alligator tendencies. I dated a girl who still believed that she was a dog, and she wanted to believe she was a dog. She wanted to be put on a leash. She wanted to be fed from the bowl. She wanted to be called like a dog. And even though I was interested in psychology and NLP, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out like where this came from. She didn't have any childhood thing happen or nothing weird like that. But now I understand. Some of us are brand new humans, and we just now have came over from the animal plane, and we carry over animal tendencies. Yo, right? We carry over animal tendencies. So here's what I want to say to you. Analyze your tendencies. Man, give me a second. Give me a second. I want to say analyze your tendencies. Analyze your tendencies, because here's the thing. If you've got something going on in your personality and you may not agree with it, or you might be questioning where it came from, there's a high chance that it was part of your karma from a previous life. Don't think that animals and insects don't also have the equivalent of alcohol and drugs, right? Don't think that animals and insects lack the equivalent of alcohol and drugs. There are cases that have shown that there are some animals who do get drunk on a regular basis. But let's not stop there. Let's not stop there. All alcohol and drugs is the change of the body chemistry. So there are animals and insects who partake upon things that alter their chemistry, right? So you could have been an incarnated animal who was used to getting fucked up on a regular basis, and now that you're a human being, you just found new ways to get fucked up on a regular basis. Richard Tracy says it's a known fact that certain species of animals that will intentionally binge on fermented foods for an intoxicated effect. Listen to me. So you might think that it's just a human thing. Nah, you do not have free will if you have not been deeply focused on your spiritual practice. And if that's the case, you have carried over animal tendencies from where you have last existed. Jay Scott says, I got a porn addiction. Do you think that it's difficult for creatures to have that same addiction? You think it's difficult? Hard? No. It's not just a human experience. It's a universal life experience. There's a book written by Robert Svoboda called Agora, Part 1. Another great book that I recommend you purchase and actually read, where he talks about there's a specific individual who died, who was very horny, spent most of his life fucking anything he could find. Sounds like some of y'all. And when he passed, he wasn't able to incarnate as a human again because he was so damn horny. He had to incarnate as a beast, as a dog or some kind of woodland creature, because in his mind, when he passed on, it was all about sex. Sex was the most important thing to him. So the vessel of his reincarnation had to be something to keep up with his sexual appetite. All right? Get the book Agora. It's a really good book. I love it. There's 3 parts to it. But the first one with Kali on the cover, it talks about this uncle who was horny as hell. And when he died, what he was doing was he was possessing family members, right? Daughters, right? Because he was so horny. I've been here for a long time, and I've been consulting people who have had spiritual issues, and there's a lot of women, a lot of females who feel like there's some type of sexual ghost or some type of sexual spirit that's harassing them when they try to sleep or when they're alone. This is a real thing. There's a lot of females who have paid me for consultations to tell me about how they feel like there's some type of spirit that is sexually molesting them, harassing them. Most of the time it's a family member who has passed and who is still holding on to that shit. Still holding on to that shit. So here's what I'm saying. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. And you die, you pass away. And the first thing you do is you go to your niece or your nephew, right? And you possess them to continue to get the stimulation that you've been seeking after. Ace says, name the author once more, please. The author is Robert Svoboda, Svobada. The book is called Agora, Aghora. Yeah, that's it, Richard Tracy. Thank you. Supremacy McCoy says, bro did that and Enter the Void. Ah, you saw the movie. You saw the movie. You hear that, Framestar Films? You done spread it. You done spread it. You done spread it. Supremacy McCoy says astral incest. But here's the thing. You no longer have a body, so it don't matter anymore. You're not attached or bound to anything. A lot of the things that we talk about are bound to the fact that we take on roles of the physical body. Like, I'm not advocating anything. I'm not a fan of anything like that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of the boundaries that we create are due to the fact that we limit ourselves to specific roles. But if we take that shit away, none of it matters. Alright, so Durana Darshan, like, I can't tell you enough that I think that it would behoove you in your spiritual practice to purchase that book and actually read it and study it. Few people will buy the book, right? And then even fewer will practice what's in there. And even fewer who practice what's in there will understand what they're practicing. But I say give it a try. Give it a try. Because I don't know your evolutionary level. You might be somebody who this book can unlock everything for you, right? Durana Darshan, Tatwashuddhi, right? Richard Tracy, I'd love to hear about how much Tatwashuddhi has impacted you or not. I believe that it has, though, because I know what's in here. I've been meaning to read this here, The Metaphysics of Astrology, because this is a different type of zodiac book. I was gonna read it, but we've been live streaming now for like 6-12, about 2 hours. We're not gonna do it now because I'm a little bit tired. But we've gone through this book multiple times on my YouTube channel. Like, if you search Dion Fortune, Mystical Kabbalah, my name, my face will come up. We'll go through this book study, right? We go through the details, the facts. Ray Slave says, can I be a moderator? Fuck no. Get off my channel. I don't know you. I don't know you. You cannot be a moderator. Lance Benefield says, what you feed your soul is what you're going to experience in the next life. Absolutely. So what you're going to experience in this life. All right, so I'm about to wrap it up, y'all. I'm about to wrap it up. I'm happy to be live again on Sunday. I did some research with the YouTube, and of course, with YouTube being constantly trying to keep up with TikTok, they've done this new thing with their live streams, vertical live streams. to where they put it in the shorts shelf. So they want people who are flipping through shorts to come across random live streams. So that's why we're getting a lot of these people all of a sudden. Because look, I've been going live for a long time, many years. And y'all know we have never had this kind of shit going on in the chat. Never. So, with that being said, understand that it's very, very easy for us to detect trolls and nonsense because we've been doing this for a long, like, I didn't just start live streaming a week ago about some damn, come on now. The shit you got out of this live stream was real. What you got out of this live stream touched you on a deep level. What you got out of this live stream, you can apply today and tomorrow if you are willing to do so, right? You got substance here. You got substance here. You don't find that very often, right? So for people to come into this chat with the stuff that they're saying and whatnot, like, we have a community here. Everybody knows each other, from Lance to Richard, you know, AZW, Oath, Animali. Like, literally, as I scroll up in this chat, nothing but names of people who have been here for a while. So when these new folks come and they start saying, what book is this? I'm praying for you. Jesus Christ is the answer. Make me an admin. Come on. Y'all got to come a little bit harder than that. A little bit harder than that. But anyways, what you got here tonight is information that you can use. And I pray that you use it. If nothing else, get the books that I mentioned. Because within those books, you will find rituals and understandings of why you do certain things. Framestar Film says your lives have become gamified for the mods. And I love that because I know that y'all are having fun blocking the Goyim. Oh, my bad. I'm not supposed to say that. Forgive me. Y'all have become entertained by blocking the animal souls. Okay. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Oh no, that's not what I clicked on. Just Ridiculing Curriculum says playing whack-a-mole with the troll animal souls, right? Jay Belthale says been listening at work tonight, or I would be contributing to the chat more. Much love to the Magus community. Peace to you, my friend. Okay, so that was it. That's everything. Yeah. Taught with Shooty, please purchase this book. Taught with Shooty, you need it. You need it, especially if you plan on coming to my YouTube channel more often. If you don't have it already, please get this. Secretly, Metaphysics of Astrology. You'll probably need that. If not, No harm, no foul. It's not just a book about astrology, but it actually tells you why astrology works. All right. I'm leaving now. I'm leaving. Mr. West says, yes. Sorry for not speaking much. I've been listening in the background while at work tonight. Thank you for the sessions, Brother Travis. My pleasure. My pleasure. I wish to know in order to serve. All right. Anything else? Any questions from like real people? Any comments or anything like that from actual people? We will be doing the cyclomancy class in just a few more days. Stay tuned. I'm going to make everything very clear. Very clear. And what I'm going to include for new cyclomancy students is my shadow work mastery system. So you're going to get 2 courses, 2 awesome courses for the price of 1. And let me also step it up a notch because I really want to give you the most value possible. My original class, the Inner Light Activation System, my original class, which I have offered twice and closed it out for that, I'm going to be introducing that to the membership program. So if you're interested in how to actually create and charge up your Merkaba, how to actually create, solidify, and strengthen your light body, this is what we talked about in the book that we read from W.E. Butler. We go into it. Like I said, I've done it twice. I do most of my classes twice. In other words, a group of people take it, and then another group of people take it, and they're all satisfied. I'm going to be offering this in the membership because I think that now is a good time to really get back into strengthening the self. I've said it and it's been talked about. There has been a recent drop in consistency. It's happened to me, and it's been happening to y'all too. You're not practicing enough. You're not studying enough. You're not doing the magic like you normally do. You fell off. And a lot of us feel guilty about it. A lot of us kind of, penalize ourselves because of it. Weird. Where do these people come from? Where do these people come from? No, not that. Visual OD says, Trav, is there a specific order to start doing Bij mantras? if you ask me the specific order to start doing Bij mantras, my recommendation is to start with the chakras. Start either with the chakras or start with the planets. One of the two. One of the two. Why? Because the planets are a system and the chakras are a system. Choose one, get good at it, whatever you resonate with. And by the way, you're doing the same thing. It's not different. You're just coming at it from a different angle. Choose the planets or choose the chakras. And take your time. One of the things as far as myself and mantras is like, I was really looking to get this thing as quickly as possible. So I would run through different mantras, But what I learned through going through that process is that you typically stay with one mantra. You stay with one mantra and you use it all the time. So my suggestion is choose something from either the planetary system or the chakra system. Lam, Vam, Ram, Hum, Yam, Choose something from one of those systems and focus on it. That way also, you'll begin to see tangible results. For example, if you work with the chakra Bij mantras, whatever one you eventually end up sticking with, you can easily identify the results coming from that particular session. Straight Panther, peace. Alright, y'all. We have been through at least 2.5 hours of content. I hope that you have received something you can work with. I appreciate your donations. Thank you for those of you who have donated on the Cash App towards my new computer fund. We're getting back. We're going to be back here. Won't take much longer. Have a good night. It's Sunday now. The next live stream you see from me will be a tarot reading. We'll probably do a tarot reading on Wednesday. So be here Wednesday, 8 p.m. Whoa! 777. Look at that. Look at the views and look at the likes. Nice. But yeah, we're gonna do a tarot reading on Wednesday. We'll continue with the book study on Saturday. And I'll be going live about whatever lesson on Thursday. Me and Apollo Soul are getting right back into podcasting, so there's going to be some new episodes. Stick around. There will be more content. I appreciate all the new faces. I'm happy to see you. And I am grateful for the old faces. Thank you for being here. Thank you from my moderators. Thank you, everybody. I love you all. I appreciate you. It's been a good night. It's been a good night. Oh, that's why Straight Panther was late. He was watching the game. Talking about Chiefs won. Talking about Chiefs won. That's why you was late. Because you was watching that Super Bowl. You was watching that Super Bowl. Okay, I see. Watch that damn Super Bowl. All right, time to go. All right, y'all. Whatever you do, keep it trill. Do your thing. Love yourself. Don't let the influence of the animal soul keep you down. Right? Live, expand, experience, and I'll see you next time. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you all, except the trolls. Fuck y'all. But the rest of y'all, the regulars, I love you. Peace.